you very much for joining another GoDaddy Pro EMEA meetup. Today is 28th of June 2021, and today we have a guest and a co-host at the same time, Ronald Giselle. Hi, Ronald, how are you?
Hello. I'm good, thank you. I'm really good.
I hope the summer is treating you well and that you are not having too much things to do, so you can actually commit some time to family and hobbies as well. In the meantime, I'm sure you will give us plenty of great information for today's talk. So as already is shared on the screen, today we will be talking about opportunities for creating, actually for converting visitors into customers. Since last time we had a question like, what means converting? Let's start first with explaining what conversion of a customer is, and then let's start with the session. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a conversion can be anything. It's a different thing for different stores, but it's whatever you want the customer to do, you've got a conversion. So conversion could in WooCommerce stores, most likely is to make a sale. One sale, whether it's a €1 or €100, is a conversion. But for other stores, it could be sending a quote or a contact form, or it could be a conversion. Could also be a visitor on your site clicking more than 3 pages. That could also be a conversion. So it all depends, or maybe playing a video. It all depends on what you set it to do. But I think if we talk about conversions in the in the realm of WooCommerce, it's for sure it's making a sale. I hope that's clear enough, because I probably talk a lot about conversions, so that's probably a really good one to get started with, because it is sometimes you use these terminology and you overlook day by day, but it's not for everybody. And I know so well, because I've done my, as we talked about earlier, started sailing. It was the first time I did yacht sailing last week, and the terminology in sailing totally alien to me. They shouted instructions like pull this, pull that, and I'm thinking, what are you talking about? But of course, for them, it's all common sense to use these terminology, whereas for me as a newbie, I have no idea. So I can totally relate to that.
It's awesome, because I think what we would like to actually explain here, that conversion, it's not only profitability, but it's actually achieving some type of goals, whether it's getting some subscribers or perhaps getting some downloads or whatever the KPI for this is. Conversion, so just to make it clear, it's not only about sale. It could also have with any type of KPIs that we set up for our website or converting the website.
Yeah. I think you've mentioned 2 really good ones: subscribers and downloads. I think they are the other obvious ones for sure. Yeah.
In that case, why don't we start with presentation? I love your presentations, first of all, because they're very colorful and it gives and is also
from this one.
Okay, so I jumped to conclusion. All right.
No, I think it's important to highlight that, and then the people joining in, but I've seen previous sessions. But in June, we talked a lot about WooCommerce, and to start with, it was a sort of an open discussion about the different key parts. And in that first session, the panel session, we talked a lot about future parts we're going to discuss and dive a little deeper in. And then I talked a lot about the first or the second week about the use of plugins, and then after that, last week you had Jono talking about SEO and placing your e-commerce site in on present as well, so Google can pick it up, and once Google picks it up, it can send organic traffic. Some of that I'll repeat in the first part. I'll brush over it, but it's always good to recap some of those key parts of presenting your store online. Also, I'll give a little introduction about who I am, what I do, followed by a presentation, hopefully some inspiration to get started. There will be questions and answers halfway through and at the end, because there's an awful lot to get through. So I'll speed through it a little bit, but I'm glad you said it's on YouTube, so you can review it later on. So my name is Ronald. I work as a partnership manager, community and partnership manager for years. We specialize in WooCommerce plugins. I also co-host the London WooCommerce Meetup, as well as a panel, a round table for Do the Woo as one of the monthly events. Before that, I've built an awful lot of WooCommerce stores. I mean, an awful lot. It takes quite a bit of time to build one store. So, 10, 15 stores, that's quite a lot, I think, if you do them well, and also if they succeed. I think it's quite a big achievement to build one store and make your first sale, and then if they can grow and turn into, multi-million pounds, in this case, turnover store, I think it shows that WooCommerce can handle, bigger projects, but also start from really small ones. All along the way, I've seen so many different scenarios, also through the Meetup, different problems, solutions, through work. So I think I've got a fair share of problem solving when it comes to WooCommerce. So this presentation, the thing we don't talk about is design and navigation, but I think it's just as important. Also site speed and optimization. I think a lot of that was discussed last week, as well as organic traffic. So I know this is a presentation I've done before, so I think viewing back last week's session probably tackles at least 2 of these points to get up to scratch. I'm going to focus on 3 targets. They all have the same goal. So target 1 is simply to get more customers, and different strategies to achieve that. And then once customers or visitors come to your site, turn into customer. The second one is to increase value, and then lastly, it's to repeat business. I think those 3, if you break those down for any e-commerce store, and you tackle them each subsequently, and you only have to increase them by maybe 5%, but you can literally double the business year on year. So getting more customers, how to bring in more people to your site. Once you're on the site, how can you increase the value, increase the average order value, or repeat a second sale within that time frame, and repeat businesses instead of having a single purchase to make a monthly purchase, or even if twice a year, depending on what you sell. So going through that, we have this is your traditional customer journey. You have value and time, and the value increases as the different points play a part in the customer shopper's journey. So you have the first point is a pre-purchase. That's where they land on your site. Maybe it's joining an email list. They haven't bought anything yet. And then at the customer stage, the number 2 is when they make the first purchase, maybe a repeat purchase. Number 4 could be a sale where they get a discounted purchase, and slowly the customer expires, where they don't come back anymore and you lose them. So I think this is quite a traditional view of a customer journey, and but I'd like to challenge that a little bit. So here we are, conversion, the magic word. I knew we were going to talk a lot about that. So the analysis, so analyze different paths to conversion. I think a lot of people will see a conversion of somebody landing on your site, making a purchase, and that's it. But actually, the journey starts much sooner. If you dive a little bit deeper into the attribution reporting within Google, you realize that visitors maybe have to visit your site 3, 4, even 10 times before they make a conversion. So although we focus on that last step, last click conversion, actually there's so much happening before that, and nurturing that behavior of the user as they go from first time they see your site, even before they click it, all the way to visiting, revisiting, maybe adding something to wish list or abandoned cart, to making their first purchase. That's a really key point. So as I said here, this is the example of a shop where they sell fabrics, fairly reasonably priced fabric. So it's not a purchase you have to think about a long time before you make it. For example, television, you might visit various sites, you might compare different models before you finally make the purchase. So the touch points or the times that you visit the site will be much higher. So for this very average normal store, it's still more than 4 times on average. So there are ones that, as you can see, there's down the bottom, there's the 69 times there's a single one. So 69 times to visit the store or the website before they finally made that purchase, which was valued at £105.25. But it doesn't matter how many times, they're still valuable customers because they do make the conversion. But you do wonder, what are they doing? Why, they keep coming back. Why are they so unsure about it? And, giving that understanding why they're coming back and what they're trying to do, and working alongside and giving the customer service, I think is crucial. To get a better insight of understanding this behavior, you need to activate Attribution View in your Google Analytics. I know Google Analytics have a new version out, G4, but or GA4, but the traditional analytics some of it is baked in, but for the traditional you need to activate it. So once you've activated that, it'll take I think 48 hours before you start to see certain things in this attribution review. And this is one of the views. So what you see here is the different paths to conversion. So I put a 99 paths. It's the Jay-Z song title, 99 problems. But I call it the 99 paths to make a conversion, and direct isn't one of them. Although direct here we have on number 1. To think that there are so many different types, that you have to add more tools into bringing customers and bringing them back in order to make sure that customers keep coming back and finally do make the purchase, no matter how long it takes. So 2 of the highlighted ones, number 78. You see somebody came through a referral, could be an affiliate site. They then Googled again, you came up, visit your site, maybe do another comparison site, and then we have 2 times direct, organic search, and so on. And then finally you have an email. So they obviously signed up for an email before then they visited through that link or email, and then 3 more times before they made that purchase. So you see, this is just an example, a snapshot of a user, in this case, a single one, how many times to come back to your site before they made that final purchase or the conversion. And then number 84, which is quite a normal one. It's email and then visit direct, so typing in the domain name and maybe an organic search whereby they did another search of, let's say, the best headphones, and then ended up on your site again because they've seen it, they trust it, they now know you have the best price or the best delivery options, and make that purchase. You can compare attribution models. So if you focus on last click, that means the attribution or the conversion is attributed to the last click. So if they come to your site 5 times, the conversion, the last click, which could be organic, paid search, will be attributed to that type of traffic. If you do first click, for example, if you run a Google Ads campaign, then your first click is usually a paid for ad before they then revisit through a newsletter and maybe a final search. And by changing the way of comparing the attribution models, you get a better understanding of where to put your money. So in this case of paid search, there's a clear difference that more sales should be attributed to not sure if you can see my mouse. More sales should be attributed to the first click model. So more visitors came to your site first on Google Ads, maybe then some other channels, direct or organic, before they make the purchase. So it shows you that by investing more in paid ads, you could actually increase your sales. And I think it's important to understand the differences, because if you look at Google Analytics, you always focus on the last click. So it's where they came through last, but you very often ignore paid search. Therefore, you think it's a waste of money. But same for Facebook ads or any other paid for ads. You think it's a waste of money because it doesn't record any sales. But actually, they came through that in the first place and then visited a few more times through other channels before they made the purchase. So you can be a bit more confident with your marketing budget as well. So now we know that we need to look after the customer before they make a purchase. And it's my customer's nurturing journey. And we have 10 different points. And guess what the title of the talk was? The 10 opportunities to look after or to turn a visitor into a customer. So let's go through these 10 different touch points. Sorry, not touch points. The touch points before they make a purchase, but then also the opportunities after they make that purchase. So the first part is the not yet customer stage. So it's before purchase. The big one is, of course, Google. Google organic, Google, but also paid for, Google Merchant Service. You can now add your products for free. If you use, I think it's on the WooCommerce Marketplace, there's a free WooCommerce plugin. A WooCommerce plugin to connect Google, so you upload your products, and that's a great way to get a much bigger visibility. Other ways to increase traffic is using affiliates. So somebody who recommends you through a special code will get a commission. And if they get lots of commission, they can either exchange that for products in your store, or they can earn some money from it. So it's a really good way to expand your network. And there are people that have sites dedicated on promoting your products and other products to bring in traffic and filter this to your site, which, it costs a little bit of money to, you might give them 20-30% revenue share. But if you consider how much it costs to write a good blog post, or how much it costs per click to bring a user to your, or searcher to your site, not necessarily making a purchase, I think sometimes when you realize the cost per acquisition, it actually can be quite beneficial. And of course, they give you, good reviews. They give you good. They really filter the right type of people because they want to make a sale as well, or commission. So it has a win-win. And of course, social sharing is also really useful. It's a way whereby you share with your friends a product that you've bought, and they can get a 10% discount, or you would get a future discount as well. So these are different ways as the first step to bring in more traffic, to expand your network much faster, quicker, other than the traditional organic growth. Step 2 is where you engage with users. So engaging with users is they've been on your site, they've explored a little bit, and you want them, they're not ready to make that purchase. You want to engage with them in a way, not directly by chat or so, but give them the opportunity to come back. Wishlist is by far, for me, the best opportunity, because it's not, for somebody to subscribe to a newsletter, it's a bit more difficult these days because people are quite wary of spam, of it's giving away email addresses. Although I think Apple now has a great solution where you can create temporary email addresses. But it's it's a great way to anchor people into your shop, because they can create a wish list. They add their email address, because with a wish list plugin, a good one, hint, you can actually send emails to all customers that have a particular product in a wish list, or you have the setting that if you reduce the price, they automatically get an email. So it's a great way to bring people out or back to your shop if they have particular products in there. Newsletters, it's still one of the most popular ways of engaging with your customers, and recently viewed products. I think it's again, so Amazon does that really well. They have, if you visit their stores, you visit Amazon, you search for a few products. Next time you go back, on the homepage, it's a dynamic list of the products that or similar products that you viewed last time. But I see it as, if you go to your local store and you're being recognized as a regular customer, and they say, hey, Mr. Giselle, here's your basket, or here are the things that you've been looking at, or, we've got some great products in aisle number 3. I know you're interested in blue jumpers. So, why don't you make your way there? I think it's a customer service that is maybe, underestimated of the strength of that, or the power of that. So that's your second, to engage with users. And then the third one is the point to push for conversion. Here's the magic word again. So, they've landed on your site, you brought in more customers, you've engaged with them, you've allowed them to save their email address or wish list and so on. And this is the time when you want to make it as easy as possible to create a sale. Abandoned cart, it's the classic one. I think whoever uses abandoned cart is always amazed how many conversions you can create in a very short period of time. It doesn't need to be pushy and salesy. It could be simply as, you might have a problem, you might have a question, please let us know. But it serves as a reminder, because we know the customer needs so many touch points before they make that final purchase. So even an abandoned cart is another one of those reminders. And of course, if they click, they go to your site, but they don't make a purchase, then you can offer a discount. Being able to log in with social media, I think or Google account is a great one, because if you're on a bus on your way home and you just browsing on your phone to in your store or in a store, you might not want to make that purchase right there, right then. Maybe save it to a basket or to your cart, and logging in or creating an account with a social media is so much easier than having to type in all the details. So again, it's a way of hooking people in and reminding them to come back. Finally, waiting list, because you might not have this product in stock, and that's a lost opportunity. So giving them the opportunity to leave their details, and then when it's back in stock, they get an email to say, hey, the special item, the beautiful surfboard in orange and black is back in stock. Why don't you check out? And thank you for waiting. Here's a 10% discount, if you want to push that conversion. So now we know more interaction leads to more conversions, more touch points, creating more of these touch points, whether it's through email, remarketing, social media, being high in Google, through affiliates, those various different touch points. We know it will lead to increased conversions. People need to be reminded of your brand many times, and this is exactly the same store. Where we did some work, and we only increased over. Actually, this is not the same store. It's a different store. But anyway, we know by increasing touch points, we increased sales. We increased about 110%, more transactions, and the touch points only slightly increased as well. So next part is, we go the 3 different targets. So bringing in more customers and focusing on touch points. The next part is AOV, average order value. You see that acronym a lot, AOV. And it's a way that during your, and imagine you being in a supermarket and you only go there for milk and maybe a bread. And the likelihood of you coming back with all sorts of things you didn't really intended to buy is, of course, really high. And it's exactly what you want to create in your WooCommerce store, is offering more products. And these are not necessarily things that they didn't want, but these could be reminders like, well, while you're here in the milk aisle, have you maybe not forgotten to buy some yogurt or some desserts for tomorrow's dinner party? So it's reminding people in a gentle way that we do a lot more than just the milk and bread that you came for. So it's also customer service. It is good service, just as you would as a shop assistant, and you buy clothing. You come for a shirt. There is the opportunity to buy trousers, a belt, shoes, and make the whole outfit complete. So point number 4 is the up and suggest sell. I think this is the most common one. Customizing products, that's a great way of upselling, whether you add your label or engrave a name in a Victorinox pocket knife, or adding value, or maybe create a present wrapping. And then the second one is dynamic discounts and pricing rules. So the classic buy 2 get 1 free, or 3 for 2, because in that way you can, if people only intended to buy 1, you then push them to buy actually 3, and in that way they save. But if you have 1 item off, and the same is, by the way, if you offer free shipping over 50 euros, it's a really good way of increasing the value. And if you know your average order value is 30 euros, by doubling the average order value in order to qualify for free shipping, your cost actually only increases by 1 or 2% by pushing people to buy twice as much, but then qualify for a small discount, i.e. free shipping or 10% off. And of course, bundles is the classic one, which you see it everywhere in physical shops, but very little in digital, because it can be a bit complicated to set up. And as a store owner, you tend to forget who your customer really are, and they are looking for a solution. They are looking for the full package. And if you don't make it very clear that you offer the full package, it's the navigation on the site isn't always that clear to navigate and find all the other missing pieces. So if your competitor does a great deal on the full surfboard with sail and wax and everything else, that sort of part makes the set complete. So you can literally receive the box, go out to the sea and go surfing. Well, that's maybe what the customer wants. Maybe not, but at least it gives them the idea that you do everything. And if it's at a discount, well, you either sell only a surfboard or you sell the full package for an increased average order value. So offering bundles, it's a really good way of increasing or upselling your items. And then this final step before you making the sale is the too good to refuse. So number 5, and this is where you add another deal. So you're not on the actual product page, but you sort of they have added things into the basket, or they about to, and there are other items, and this is the sweet aisle. Or if you're at the checkout, you buy chewing gums, or you have a pack of chocolate. These are things that you cannot refuse because they are really good deals, and you're so close to checking out. Well, another 5 euros. What does it matter? Frequently bought together is a classic one that Amazon uses. But also, as you go through checkout, if you buy shoes, why not add shoe polish or a shoe bag? It's only a couple of extra dollars or pounds. So adding these last minute items while they are so focused in checking out, I think it's a great opportunity to increase sales. And not only just when they press pay and wait for confirmation, also afterwards. Thank you page. It's one of those where you have the opportunity to suggest, we know you bought shoes, maybe you forgot to add shoe polish, or a protection bag, or if you buy dog food, why not get the matching feeding bowls, or there are hundreds and thousands of different examples that you can add one more item as a sort of an afterthought. Oh, actually, that sounds really good idea. I'm going to get it as well. Especially if you make it attractive by saying there's no additional shipping if you buy this within the next 5 minutes. The way to monitor your AOV is, again, Google Analytics. And you simply go to conversions, e-commerce, and overview. You see the path there. And if you compare that over a date period, over a month or 3 months, and you see that by implementing some of these tips, these tactics, you can clearly see how you've increased your average order value. And if that's the case, you're doing something absolutely right. I mean, here alone, it's increased by 10 to 12% or so. And yeah, you'd be silly not to do it. As we then continue the customer journey, I'm going to give it a moment and allow for questions, because now we've made that first conversion, that first sale. I think now is the point where, or the next point will be where we talk about repeat customers. So you've made that sale, great. How can you turn those customers into a renewed customer or second customer and a lifetime customer? So if anybody has any questions at this point.
Actually, James had a question at the beginning. What newsletter plugin or service do you recommend?
That's there are so many different ones, and some of them are very well integrated with WooCommerce, and you have to be very you have to do your research, that you need to know what you want out of your functionality, because they're all singing and dancing plugins or platforms, not necessarily plugins. They can be really expensive, especially if you increase subscribers. They you pay hundreds of euros per month. But if you don't use it to that full extent, it's a waste of money. But the free ones, for example, MailChimp, you could do very limited with that. And I think somewhere along the line, somewhere in between, depending on the number of subscribers, where you can include an abandoned cart, but also set up some automation. So if one of your customers visits a particular page 2 times, it then triggers an email to say, hey, I can, you might be interested in similar products like this. However, some of these can also be plugins as well. It doesn't all need to be an email automation or a platform. But yeah, trying to identify how much you want out of that is really important. Klaviyo, they integrate well for e-commerce, and I think increasing their WooCommerce offering as well. ActiveCampaign, I use a lot myself. I find that really useful if it's integrated well, so you can clearly see the customer's behavior, where they've been or what they've bought or what they didn't buy. Because of course you don't want to send out an email for discounted dog food while they've just bought that the day before. They would feel quite robbed in that case, where they say, oh, I just bought it and the next day I can buy it for 20% off. So being able to eliminate that group of users who have bought the dog food in the last 7 days can be quite a useful feature to have. So it's a complex world when it comes to email marketing, but it is quite fascinating. Are there any more questions on that?
Yeah. Thank you, James, very much. This is awesome. It says, for people with smaller shops, do you also recommend any vital WooCommerce add-ons or extensions for easy analytics or customer suggestion other than Google Analytics? In particular, ones that don't cost too much. Although WooCommerce is free, as we said earlier, there are actually things that we need to pay with it. So what's your experience with it?
So Google Analytics is free and it's easy to connect. There's a WooCommerce plugin to connect Google Analytics, so you can also track the conversions or the purchases. I think that's quite a must. They are both easy to set up and are free. So the other one that just came out a couple of weeks ago is connecting the Google Merchant Service with your Woo store. So you can upload the products onto Google. So Google Shopping now will feature your products as well if the search is relevant. There are a lot of free plugins. I mean, we have about 40 free plugins on WordPress.org. yes, admittedly, some come with limited functionality versus the premium version. But I think for starting stores, they're absolutely fine. They work really well. Like an example is if you compare products, you don't need to be able to compare 10 different products with all the attributes. You just want to compare 2 products side by side. Well, if that's the case, they are absolutely fine. Same for subscriptions. But yeah, it's a big world when it comes to WooCommerce plugins and free ones and premium ones. So do test them.
James is asking if you can kindly repeat that new plugin you mentioned that also adds your products to Google Shopping. I must take a look. Thank you.
I'm going to share the link, but maybe I can ask you, Maya, while I'll
Sure.
continue with the second part while you pick that up. But yeah, it should not be too difficult to find.
Sure. Could you just repeat for me as well?
Let me just do it here. So WooCommerce. And I think that's the marketplace. I think it's one of the new extensions. So I'm guessing it's here somewhere. Obviously not. Google. Free to download. So adding that here.
I'm so happy that you shared this, to be honest with you, because I think it will help me as well in our private business to increase visibility on Google.
Yeah, and of course it's country dependent, and I haven't played it with it myself that much, but I know it's quite a big deal, for users, and of course they will push you to pay with Google Ads, but you can also ignore that until you're ready for it, until you know what you're doing, because you can spend a lot of money very, very quickly with Google Ads and also Google Shopping. So just be cautious. Do small experiments. That's all I can say.
I just have a question before you continue. I mean, usually web developers and designers, they're not the business developers. I mean, they are in a way business developers for companies, but they need a lot of data and facts and expectations from their clients to understand which plugins, which combination of plugins actually to use, and having, I assume, limited budget, right? So what is the best way for a freelancer, or let's say somebody who doesn't have 20 years or 10 years in web development business, but would like to join this new trend of creating online shopping? How would they find the best model very quickly that would work for their clients, which could be from different industries?
I think if you work with a client, you need to set that expectation that of course you try to do it for budget, but they need to pay you as well. And the price of a plugin compared to paying for professional service, and that plugin, which is maybe let's call it 100 euros, allows you to do it set it up within 1 or 2 hours, or maybe half a day, versus having to code it for several weeks, is a huge saving if you put it in that way. Now, I know that there are stores, and especially if you start it for yourself, you might only have a budget of a couple of hundred euros. And I must say, I think the GoDaddy offering of the WooCommerce plugins, premium plugins that come included, is really good value. But obviously, it also has its limitations. So asking the customer what they want, and a couple of weeks ago I did this sort of how to set up your store, how to explore the different points, and doing this with your customer is a really good way to predict where they eventually want to end up, because every store starts really small, where you just add a few products, and within weeks, within months, you have gift cards, wish list, you have all sorts of other functionalities that you didn't account for at the beginning, because once you give the customer the the keys to the house, they start decorating it, isn't it? So I think it's which is normal, which is a normal thing to do. But yeah, it's which is also great, because if you're a freelancer working with a customer, you have a lifetime worth of business, and if you do well and they make the money, it's a no-brainer for them to invest more in it. So sometimes you can, if they don't have a big budget, you could also create a scheme whereby you say, well, I'll take 10%, if you're so confident in your skills. Keep the fee low, but you get like a commission on sales. I don't know, there are different ways of doing it, so especially if you're on a budget. But I always say your e-commerce is worth an employee, full-time employee in your store. So if it's a small clothing store, by adding an e-commerce functionality, well, it's whatever an employee costs. So different countries, different prices, but anywhere, I'd say between 20 and 35, 40,000 euros is a reasonable budget to manage a professional WooCommerce store.
Thank you very much. I'm sure that these figures would help both the developers and the clients later on to be explained the value of the online shop and the business that designers and developers do for any business. Excellent information.
By the way, that doesn't mean that you can just give them a 40,000 euro bill and say, "Oh, here you go," because Ronald said that's what it's worth. But it's you have to. A small part of that is design, and some of it is plugin functionality. But there are lots of other things in there as well, which is credit card fees and things like which you have anyway. But you can do your own analysis on that.
Awesome. Well, I think James is very happy with excellent information. So James, if anyone asks you, just say, look, Ronald told me this is the price that we need to go ahead. So this is the price of it. So
if we all do it, I think we all benefit from it, and we all get much more. The problem is that anyway, we can talk about this for hours on the pricing. That we'll do that another discussion. We'll
sure.
keep that for the future.
If you'd like, you might want to continue with the part 2.
Sure. Right. So we've identified the how to increase the customers coming to your store, and one of the great plugins, free plugins now to help you list the products. And then once they're on the store and they are ready to go for conversion, we now know how to increase the average order value. The next part is the part of repeat business, bringing the customer back after a purchase for a second, third, and create a lifetime customer for at least, several years. So here we go. Engagement after purchase. So this is a way in Google Analytics where you identify an opportunity, which is a natural behavior of a customer coming back to your store. Depending on what you sell, whether these are consumables or maybe fashion, or maybe something more high end, but you can upsell in different ways. There's a way in Google Analytics whereby you can identify when that customer comes back to make a second purchase. So this screenshot shows you the frequency and recency, and by going there to audience, behavior, frequency, and then you need to segment this view with made a purchase. So you only filter the audience that are actually made a purchase, made a conversion. Of course, you can't do that straight away if you haven't connected it. But if you have a store that's been active for quite some time and you have some regular trade, now you can almost like look into your crystal ball and say, hey, I can see that within 1 or 2 days of somebody making a purchase, they come again, and then again there's a slight increase between 1 and 4 weeks. So seeing that and understanding that there is an opportunity there for them to engage with them just before they want to make that repeat purchase. So this could be an email automation. I think that's probably the most classic one, or maybe some other remarketing or Facebook remarketing. But working on that, that natural trend and stimulate that is one quick and easy way to bring people back to your store. and it all depends on what you're selling. And then, of course, to measure that, you compare date ranges, which we've tackled before. Between 1st of June and August, and comparing that to last year, and see how you increase that. And so if we break it down into the bounce back, and this is the bounce back where you make a purchase and you bring people back. So the short-term bounce back, if I just go back to that slide, I would say is that sort of between 0 and 3 days or so. I think that's a short term where the items haven't been delivered, most likely, unless you have fantastic next day delivery. But realistically, it's 2-3 days. So it's the period where they might not necessarily have received the item or just received the item, but they're still really, engaged with it. Well, maybe haven't used it, so to say. So one of the easy ways is it's a review reminder. No, sorry, it's an email. So confirmation email of you've received or your items are on your way. While you're waiting for your items, here are some instructions. And maybe because you've bought I'll just stick to the shoes again. While you wait for your shoes, you might want to think about how you want to store them. So here's a nice shoe box that fits lovely in your IKEA Billy wardrobe, for example. And also because the next one is a point-based loyalty program. It's a loyalty card. Again, comparing that in stores, supermarkets, they all have loyalty points. You pay 70 euros of shopping, you'll get 7 points in return. How much is a point? It could maybe only be 1 cent, but that relation between money and value and points goes over the head very quickly. It could be even 7,000 points, which are worth 70 pence or cents or so. It doesn't matter. But if you have so many points, you think, what can I do with these points? Revisit the store back. Or if you collect 10,000 points, you can qualify for a free mug. So you engage your customer then with going back, understanding what the value is, maybe purchase another item, suggest something that that complements the item they are waiting for, because they are still full of adrenaline, waiting for that item to arrive. And a popular term to use this is gamify a shopping experience, and the points and rewards is a really good example of that. But also, if the item is returned quickly because it wasn't the right fit, it wasn't the right size, don't stop your engagement there. Send them an email, send an offer, say, we really, we can send a new item already before you return it, or here's a 10% off if you buy the same item in a different size within 7 days, for example. So using that opportunity to get, within the short period of time, to make that second purchase. The medium bounce back, I think it's that classic 7 to 30 days, I think. Let me just go back to that viewpoint. Yeah, so 8, so that's sort of 2 weeks. And then again, the next area is between 2 and 4 weeks. Customer has received item, they've used it, and they are probably happy with it. And maybe if it's a consumable, they're ready for the second one. Sticking to dog food and shoes. I think dog food, after a couple of weeks, you're probably ready to buy your next item. So one-click purchased to make the purchasing and the conversion really simple, because you have the date, you have the data, you have the account details. Maybe the credit card details are stored on it. The first one, by the way, is subscribe to newsletter. Anybody who made a purchase, newsletter. So, make purchase day 1, 15 days later, you send a email saying, buy the same items again. It's due for you to repurchase the items that you've bought in recent times, because our research tells us that, it's you should be ordering now in order not to run out of it. Subscription, by the way, is a great way. If it's not the first time they subscribe to a consumable, like stick to dog food again. Maybe you want to offer them a subscription plan where you get a monthly delivery of fresh dog food and get maybe cat food. That's because I know there's always the dogs and cats rivalry. Cat food. So you get a monthly supply of cat food with a small discount. And then save for later, the cart, you see that Amazon, they do it so cleverly. They are so clever with their little things, isn't it? So save for later, you add things to your basket, quite ready to buy it, but it's there. So having that functionality, because guess what? A few days later or a week later, you've got some items in your cart. You might want to purchase them now, or one of the items in your save later has reduced by 20%. Now's the time to buy it before it goes up again. They're all, little pushes, little nudges to get people to come back. And it's not always pushy, sale. It's sometimes good customer service to remind people, just like the person in the market will shout fresh strawberries. And then further down the line, so as the value decreases, we have the expiring customer. This is when the special deals come in, the Black Friday, or for special customers, we have a pre-sale event where 24 hours before the main sale opens, we give you access to even better deals. The points and rewards is a good one to give double points for the next 24 hours if you buy this, and so on. Lots of ways to be creative on discounts, and big stores use it a lot, an awful lot. I mean, just pay attention to the number of emails that you get with all sorts of small messages, but they do that for a reason, because they are successful and people keep coming back. I think we worry that we spam users too much, but I think users get so many emails, they know when to ignore something as well. But subconsciously, they do pick up on your, on your emails, on your reminders. And if they don't want any more, please let them unsubscribe, because the last thing you want to do is have them on your email list. You pay for that. But if they don't purchase, well, you rather have somebody else who will actually make a purchase. Sometimes it's a bit harsh, but you have to think quite commercial. And then we have discounts and offers. I think we've already talked a lot about it, so I'm not going to repeat all of these different types of things. Wish lists, we started with that on point number 2, but creating a discount for items that are on people's wish list is a nice way to re-engage with them. And then towards the end of your customer journey, you have referrals, and this I think this is one that the cost per acquisition for a customer might be 20 euros, because it costs you 5-6 clicks on Google. It costs you email marketing. It costs you some other organic traffic. So all of that has actually got a cost before they make that final purchase. So what if you could say to your customers, like, if you refer somebody, I'll give you a 20 euro Amazon voucher. I know Maya's not very keen on Amazon, so I need to think of something else there. But give them a voucher for something else to, and if you're a local store, if you're a store selling something else, you could say, well, here's a voucher for a flower shop for 20 euros to buy yourself a bunch of flowers, or give it to somebody else if you recommend somebody. But the cost of acquisition can be quite expensive. So using that same value to bring in another customer through your affiliate functionality, don't underestimate that. Can be very powerful. A user could have had a really good experience with you. Imagine if they're a parent, they've been buying baby clothing and children's clothing, but children will grow out of it, so they will stop being a customer with you. But they've had such a good experience, they'll happily recommend you to other mums and dads in the playground. Partnerships. I mean, I've said it with Flower Shop. If your clothing store with a physical presence and an online presence. You know, you could be recommending the school shop, or where they buy uniforms, or where they buy musical instruments. You know, it can't be. If you think outside the box, there's a lot of things you can do together as you know, in a partnership to recommend new clients. And your final thing is just monitor, learn, improve, and repeat. So throughout, we've seen different ways to monitor the in analytics your results. So how to bring in more customers, increase the touch points, how to increase the average order value, identify when people are most likely to make a repeat purchase. And the final one is number 10 is to connect your Google search queries in analytics, and you can quite easily do that. I'm not sure if it's actually on here. I know you don't mind if we run over the hour. So this is a Google test account, and let me see if I can find site search. Oh, and then here you have search terms. Oh, they haven't connected it. That's really annoying, actually. So in here, you would have a full list of search terms, if this is connected well, of search terms that people have used when they, you know, type in, any search in here. It would list in here. I have a blog post I've written, which I shared the link actually. But in order to set that up, you let me just see if I can find that. Filters go. I can't see it right now. Google. It might be because I'm not have a different view on here, and I can't share, you know, somebody else's Google account where I know it's been set up. So I'm going to share the link in a moment, where you can set up the search queries that are, you know, being typed on your site, and you then see that in Google Analytics. So that's a perfect research tool where you look for keywords of products that people search for, and you might not have them on your store, or they might not be listed under a product. So if it's a brand, or if it's a type of a description of a product that people are searching for, you know what it is, but you might not have used it. So that's a great way to increase your SEO, but also add more products. If it's searched for a lot, well, there you go. That's your perfect market research to list those items. And then, of course, you improve and repeat this. I think there is a couple of things to recap. So the lessons we've learned, I think I've already repeated it, but the path to conversion is so much longer and can be influenced. The opportunities to sell before, during, and after checkout to increase the average order value. Discover the opportunities that after purchase, and automate this process. So automating emails after 7 days of making a purchase, or within 24 hours. And an expired customer is not a lost customer, but there's a way to win them back, if not to win one of their friends. Here's some useful tools and resources. I know GoDaddy Pro has quite a lot of good stuff on their blog. Some paths on getting these different Google views. And just finally, I can't emphasize it enough, increasing your customers, increasing the order value, and the frequency with which they come back to your store to buy more. If you focus on those 3 areas, there's a very good chance you'll increase your sales. And that's it really from my side.
This is awesome. Every time, I think I've heard repetitively so many times very similar ideas, but you never actually get the full view until you speak about it with like minimum people. So what you just are aware of, but always we need a reminder. Actually, I just wanted to ask you about buyers' psychology. Not all of them have the same approach, right? Some of them don't want to be bothered at all. They don't want to be contacted in any way. So how do you set up? I mean, usually those emails are automatic. You don't have a psychological preference, like this guy doesn't want to be bothered with additional emails. So what is the, let's say, advisable frequency of emails that we should have in mind when automating these processes?
It's quite personal, and I know what you mean, but I think if you give users the control, so maybe at sign up or even after sending the first email to say, our intention is to send you a monthly newsletter, maybe a seasonal company news, but we could also send you regular promotional offers, which is maybe on a weekly basis. So you set the expectation for the user that this is to happen, and even if they get a bit fed up with you by saying change your your preferences, you could still engage with them on a monthly basis or on a seasonal basis, where you can send them an email for Black Friday because that's the discount they're really waiting for.
Mm-hmm. And when we talk about referrals, what you were mentioning, start with referrals. I mean, how to build this trust, actually? How long does it take? I mean, it's surely different for different days, but I think be consistency and persistency in doing it, right? And not to give up if it doesn't in about 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, I think the easiest way, an automated way, is using an affiliate plugin. There are different ways, sharing for discount. But if you want to build up a network of bloggers, vloggers, influencers that speak favorably about your products, having that automated, through referral codes I think it's a must. Setting up a plugin doesn't take much time. It's a matter of a few hours and you've got your basics going. But of course, recruiting those users or influencers is another thing which I don't know a lot about. I know it's social media influencers or the Instagrammers, etc. TikTok, that could be a great way whereby you create a deal with them to say, well, we'll give you a 30% revenue if whatever you send this way. That could be a win-win because you don't pay if they don't send, and you pay them really well. They have to do very little for it if they send a lot of quality traffic.
What is your, and my last question to you, what is your view to give review? Just they somewhere don't give reviews. They just helpful to business. How to encourage people leaving reviews?
You broke up a little bit, so I think what you're asking is how you can encourage people to leave reviews. Points and rewards is a good way because you don't necessarily give them discounts, but if you say if you leave a review of just this 5-star review or a star review, doesn't need to be 5-star, you get 10 points. But if you leave a written review and add a photo, you get 100 points, for example. People to do more and better, and they could be writing a review for one product but also for other products. And if somebody is spending an hour writing several reviews for the different products that they've bought, I think rewarding them with some freebies or exchange for some money or to buy in the store is a great way. The cost of your products, I mean, imagine if you're on a 50% cost, it doesn't cost you the full item. It costs you only 50% of what the item has cost you. So quite often you can get some really good rewards, or give them good rewards for very good value. Reviews are invaluable. If you go to Google search, you'll see the stars of the reviews of the store, of the product. So I think focus a lot of time on getting reviews is really important.
Well, we have another question from James. As an expert, what do you think of services such as Printful, which has a WordPress plugin, or other drop plugins? Much success from you who don't actually.
I think it's a really competitive market because it is an easy way to create a store, but it's like with anything, you need to find your niche within. But there are a lot of benefits in these type of things because you know, I was speaking with somebody from, I think it's gelato.com. It's a similar sort of service, and if you create a print service and has printers all over the world, rather than you sending it from you know, Serbia all over the world, it gets printed in the US or in Argentina, or you know, so the delivery time is shorter. As long as you know the quality is exactly the same of what they expect, you know, it can have real benefit for the user, cheaper delivery, faster delivery, and so on. But the yeah, drop shipping, I've seen 100 terrible shipping stores, and only a couple really good ones. So yeah, I think there's no such thing as a you know, quick money. I think whatever you do, you need to invest a lot of time in your, you know, what you offer and how you package it, how you sell it. So, but yeah, it's for sure a nice way. I'd love to sit on my sailing boat and have a drop shipping store and just cash in the money.
I know, and I know, you know, they have, they outsource everything what they have. They outsource the transport to some companies, right? They outsource the products from someone else. So basically, I mean, since we have a business, in a family business with drop shipping, so I can kind of relate to what you're saying. But at the same time, you're right. We don't know many drop shippers who have gained trust or gained value, not only because they're not professional in their own business, but their whole business strategy depends on outsourced services and products and partners. So it's like, if you think of like dropshipping from China, you know, they don't know when for instance, these people are going, their partners in China are going to send them, and how long it get stuck in the customs. And with all the customs changes that are happening, and especially in Europe, nowadays it seems that customs are more of a thing than earlier. So I believe that I mean, there is so many factors. I think that it's kind of very hard to do business globally at the moment because of the shipping fee constantly increasing, costs and papers and everything. But at least we are able to touch base today. What is, at least to utilize the website to the best possible way, and also to make the customer happy, because I think in all, the goal of our conversation was how to make the customer happy and at the same time build some business around it. So if we don't have any more questions, I think
can I quickly add something to maybe not so much on the Printful plugin, but I thought of if you do a drop shipping and you work with local producers, then and you have a really good close relationship with them, so you provide a service of the online presence, but you know, the fulfillment, but you still have a very good relation. I think you can create fantastic relationships. But yeah, what you've said with you know, shipping goods from China, it's so dangerous, isn't it? It's so many things can go wrong, and it could ruin your business, which is totally out of your control. So I thought I just wanted to add that.
Yes, exactly. I mean, the thing is, like, for instance, just recently I had the amount, taxable amount, actually just decreased. My parcel arrived. So although I didn't have to pay the customs when I ordered it, when it came to me, but I couldn't blame the dropshipper for this. He couldn't do that, anything about that. But yes, I think we shared a number of data. Next July, we will Leo on WooCommerce hosting. So we're going to continue building around WooCommerce and with this WooSummer that we have organized. Thank you. Yes, exactly. It was a great talk. So the next week we're going to be talking about hosting and what to actually have in mind. Thank you very much for joining this meetup. Our co-host and the guest was Ronald Gizel, and we expect him also to come and join us throughout July. Thanks for the good questions. Engagement, nice comment. Yes, that's great. James, thank you very much for being active and for being thirsty for knowledge. With this, we will close our meetup for today, and I hope to see you next week. Thank you.
Take care. Thanks, Maya.